We get that it's very critically important to set the goals, and a lot of people go about setting goals the wrong way. Is there a right way or a wrong way?
Well, I definitely think that I've failed with goals, and so I find ways that I like to do it.
There's a better way.
Yeah, absolutely. So with me, some of the things that I include in any of my goal setting is, number one, it's got to be objective. Sometimes it's challenging, but you've got to find a way to find a number or a measurable, a metric associated with that goal. To just say, I want to be a better agent. What's better, right? Better to you and better to me is two different things. So let's define it. And then the second thing is adding a deadline. With anything, there should be a deadline. And while you've got annual goals and quarter goals, and those are all great things, I really think that chunking it down into daily and weekly goals is what you need to do. So cool, you want to go sell 20 million this year. That's awesome. But how do you chunk that down into what I need to do this week so you can focus on that? And then really accountability is the last big part. I don't care how good you think you are. I love me. I think I'm great. I'm a hard worker, but even I am going to have my days where I'm off. I need someone I trust who can be critical of me, and it still sucks, but I'm going to take it and say, you're right, and I'm going to improve on it. What are your suggestions as a trusted outsider? They're going to tell me, and I'm going to move forward. And again, you've got that plan associated. So I can say, hey, mentor, this is the plan I used. I did execute. It didn't work. Okay, cool. Here's a new plan. Or I need to be honest and say, I had the plan. I didn't put enough effort into the plan. Okay, well, then we're not going to build a new plan. We're going to build a new Joe. You need discipline. You need motivation. How do we do that? And then you work on the person instead of the plan, right? Yeah. That's what we do.
You just mentioned two key words here. You mentioned the word motivation and you mentioned the word discipline, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to make a mind note of that to have that conversation with you. So basically what you're saying is, Chadi, you need to be specific in identifying exactly what it is that you want. You got to have a deadline, and then you got to reverse engineer the plan, and then have someone either mentor you and or hold you accountable to that plan, because as you are going through that journey, there's going to be pitfalls, and then there's detours that you need to make. And sometimes it's hard for you to see it, and someone else can navigate you better than you could yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's the framework. So motivation versus discipline. You wake up in the morning, and not every single morning you wake up like, yeah, man, I got Joel's energy and I'm ready to take on the world and all this stuff. There's mornings where if you're human, you're going to wake up and you're like,
and the older I get, the more it happens.
Yeah. So it's like, how do we deal with that? Like, what is motivation? What does it come from? When it shows up, how do we keep it? How do we make it last? How do we get more of it?
That's interesting. So we talk about this a lot too, right? And I'll start first with the difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is, I just went to a Tony Robbins event and I am fired up. I walk the coals. I listen to this podcast, whatever it is. And I don't know how to describe it other than you just get the juices flowing. It's just a natural thing that just comes up. You can't control it. Why would you want to? And it just pushes you to want to be bigger and better. Now that's super fun. And there are ways to implement that. And I'll talk about that in a second. But there are going to be days, like you said, where you don't have that motivation. And when you don't have that motivation, you are a business owner. You're not an employee anymore. So you need to wake up and find the discipline to get the things done, whether you got the motivation or not. So really, again, with my whole team, we've got standards. You've got your goals, but you've got your minimum standards that, just like an employee, if you're cooking burgers at McDonald's and you're not flipping burgers, you're fired. You're fired. Now, if you can figure out a way to do it faster, get better service, awesome. Now we're talking about goals, right? That maybe you're the employee of the month or something. But at a minimum, you better flip the doggone burgers. If they burn, you're fired. You've got to have that same discipline with yourself and your business.